All right. Welcome back to I'll Read It Eventually. Um, this is not a review episode. I actually just wanted to offer, as I'm sure the title will say, a quick update and then mention a very small number of books that I recently acquired. Very small, even for a normal person, much less for me. Um, I just recently posted, it'll probably be the previous evening by the time this is posted, but I just recently posted a review of the book, still back here, great. Julian the Apostate by G.W. Bowersock. Um, that video was longer than I expected. I get the sense that that's going to start to happen a lot. That video had a ton of autofocus issues. The camera kept autofocusing, and that's because I bought a new camera. And so hadn't fiddled with it a lot, didn't realize what was happening until it was probably about 30 minutes into that 48-minute video. And by then it was far too late to stop. So I just kept right on trucking. Um, but I have now played around with the camera, figured out where that setting is, and turned it off. So God willing, that never happens again. We'll see. But in looking at the video now, it has not autofocused while I've been recording. So I'm hoping that it continues to not do that because I find it in watching like 5 minutes of that video, I found it enormously annoying. So hopefully that's over and done with. And then the only thing you'll have to see in the video that you don't want to see is me talking about books. Um, so update number one. Update number two, if you've been paying attention, there was a really large stack of books here. There is actually still a stack of books here, but it's really small. There were actually two stacks. They're one right in front of the other. Those are both gone now because I have been rearranging my office. You can't see any of the other furniture that was here or still is, but there, right next to me, was a coffee table. That coffee table is no longer next to me. It's now pushed against the wall. There was a piece of furniture there that's gone. There was a small, like, wooden filing cabinet in the corner that's been moved across the room, all in service of creating effectively a really long, really wide shelf for me to put all of the books that were stacked like that in a variety of places. So I will include a picture of that, actually. It looks way better than it did, although it's probably going to give some people panic attacks just to see. My wife hasn't seen it yet, so we'll see what happens to me when she does. But it's better than a mess. So, um, anyway, that's why those are gone. Not because I've read all of them, but that's my intent. Um, where I'm very free during the summer, my hope is that I can really get through some of the backlog of books that I own and clear some stuff out. Um, I love books, but I actually don't want to own as many as I do because I want to have read them and decided, you know what, this one's worth keeping and this one's not. Um, so hopefully, that emphasis on reading them to determine is this something I want to read and then finishing them will translate to roughly 2 episodes of the show per week. We'll see if that happens. Hopefully, that is about where I land, with one of those episodes being a review of a book. With audiobooks, I typically read somewhere in the region of 80 to 115 books a year. I do count audiobooks as reading a book, and I know that's kind of contentious for some people. I'll talk about that in a different update uh, when I inevitably need to post an episode, but don't really have the time. So I count them to make a long story short. But a lot of the reading doesn't happen during semesters of school. So, fortunately, the upcoming fall semester is my last semester of graduate study, and so after that, should be able to apply myself regularly to this kind of thing. Um, so we'll see what happens. But anyway, hopefully 2 episodes a week. That's kind of my goal, but happy to fall back to one if it's not feasible. Um, and obviously, people will watch what they want to watch, so it doesn't really matter how many I post, so long as it's not absolutely none, because that would mean that I'm not actually doing the show anymore. So, whatever. More thinking out loud than an update for you. The other thing to update on, besides moving furniture, gosh, in a show about books, moving furniture. The other thing that I did is I mentioned in a previous episode that the school year was coming to an end, which is great, hence all my free time. Right. And I was given a number of books by students who were allowed to keep their literature textbooks but didn't want to keep their literature textbooks. And so rather than, God forbid, throw them out, they gave them to me. And so I had several boxes of those. And then I had a box of books books and magazines and movies and some other things that had sort of been building slowly in my office for the last 4 or 5 months. And so I took I think it was 7 boxes in total of books to the local half price books. Got a little over $100. Some of those student books were just not in very good condition, so I'm sure that they probably just took them to recycle them or something. But got a little over $100, and per my wife's very gracious and very kindly phrased request, not to buy as many books as I was selling, which was never in the cards because of a lot of books. But I knew what she meant, which was don't come home with a whole armful. Because again, I am actually trying to own less books, not more. There's just so many books that I want to read, and gosh, every time I see one, I'm like, I should have that. Which probably isn't the best way to think about it, but I am what I am. But anyway, I sold all those books, and with the proceeds, bought a couple of gifts for other people, which I won't. Well, I don't have with me, so obviously I'm not going to show you. But 2 books that I bought for myself. The first one being Helmut Thielicke's The Ethics of Sex. Now, on first glance, this seems like quite a scandalous book. Thielicke, though, is actually a mid 20th century. I think he's a Lutheran. Let's see, maybe it'll tell me in the back material here. But he's a German Protestant theologian, and so um, he's not writing things scandalously in here. This is essentially a Protestant theology of the body with an emphasis on the Christian sexual ethic. So it opens, and this will date the book quite a bit. One of the first questions the book addresses is, does psychoanalysis make the Bible's teachings on sexual behavior out of date? So the very fact that it's talking about psychoanalysis tells you this book is from the 60s and 70s. But it does actually address issues that are really important. And the reason that I picked this book up is because I've actually read another book by Thielicke. Really should have come up with a name before now. Should have looked it up. But it's about creation. It'll be in the show notes. That was really good. And I actually own 4 or 5 of his books that I haven't gotten to, including this one. But the other, I basically bought them. Well, actually, no, they were all for free except for this one. I got them all for free except the one that I have now. But I picked them up exclusively on the just quality of that first book, which again will be in the show notes. So interested to get into this. He is kind of influenced by some liberal theological currents that were going on in the mid 20th century in Germany. The sorts of things that guys like Karl Barth are reacting to. And so I'm interested to see where he falls on some of these issues. I myself am not theologically liberal, although there are places where I think, it might be classed that way, but in general, not a theological liberal. And so might be some daylight between what he thinks and what I thinks. what I think. But we'll just have to wait and see. So excited to get into that. This is one of the books that got organized onto my giant table that's now a shelf. So this is dangerous. Making me stack. It's gonna go back over there in like 5 seconds once I'm done with this video. Promise. Um, the other book that I bought is actually one that I had seen in the store at half price before and had not bought because of the price. Um, because when they say half price, what they mean is sometimes half price. Although this one I don't think says what it would have originally cost, but I guarantee you this was a really expensive book originally. But anyway, it was more than I care to spend most of the time. If I can't get a book for less than $5 there, I'm probably not going to buy it. But two things determined me to buy it. Number one, I was working on store credit. Right, I had just sold all those books, and so I had money that I did not have before, and was willing to let a little bit more of it go than normal because I knew that I would get a pretty good amount of money for what I was selling. And then the other reason is because it was a 20% off sale. And so I knew that the price tag wasn't actually the price of the book. And the book in question is For the Freedom of Zion, the Great Revolt of Jews Against the Romans by MacLean Rogers. Gosh, this is a massive book. Good Lord. Um, now, fans of the History Channel may recognize Rogers. There he is. Fans of the History Channel from the early 2000s may recognize him, and that's because he is one of the presenters on what is arguably one of the best History Channel specials ever produced, which is called The Last Stand of the 300, which was History Channel's sort of factual response to the movie 300. Now, I think the movie 300 is really awesome. Um, and I also think that the History Channel documentary about it, which is actually factual, is really awesome as well. But one of the things that makes it great is that they have a variety of presenters, historians, professional historians, that they interview during it to sort of add some color, to add some weight to what's being said. And Rogers is one of those guys, and he's very memorable because he's saying things that are supposed to be like super epic. You know, they were going to hold that pass or they were going to die trying, he says at one point. But he says it in this really weedy voice. He's like, they were going to hold that pass or they were going to die trying. And it's about Spartans who are like covered head to toe in armor and carrying swords and shields and spears and, slaughtering guys. And he's talking like this. And so it just really did not meet well. But he demonstrated that he was a really smart guy, and so as a historian of the ancient world. And so this book I had seen, and I had noticed that it was by him. And this is a topic, obviously, that I care a lot about. It combines sort of the history of Judaism and Christianity with the ancient world. And it's also about one of the only foreign countries that I've ever been to. So, a lot of things sort of militating in favor of this book. But it is a bear, although there is quite a bit of back material. Um, Almost 500 pages, 470. Oh, those are appendices, but still, 470, give or take. Um, so this is one that you really have to sit down with and power through. But For the Freedom of Zion by MacLean Rogers. So should be really good. The last book I'm going to talk about is not one actually that I bought recently. It's one that I had. But the reason I bring it up is because this book is actually one of the ones I'm going to be reading very soon. I am part of a summer book club at a local Christian study center in Lexington called the Lewis House. Plug for them. And the book that they've chosen to read this summer is Wendell Berry's Hannah Coulter. Barry is, if you don't know, Barry is a local Kentucky author. He lives in, I'm sure the back of the book says it here. I can never remember because this story is set in a place called Port William, which isn't real. but it's based on where Barry is actually from. Never gonna remember. It doesn't matter. But he's local. He's a local Kentucky author, and he has this series of stories that are set in Port William or in and around Port William. The most famous of which is Jayber Crow. Um, and I've read that book, and it's deeply sad. And one of my friends told me, because he's a huge Wendell Berry fan, he said, if you thought Jayber Crow was sad, just wait until you read Hannah Coulter. So, fully expect that this book will probably bring me to tears, but there's nothing wrong with that. The Coulters are one of a number of really important families in the town, Port William, in the series. It's less of a series and more of a universe. It's kind of like Marvel, but nobody has superpowers. They're all just like sad rural people who have great meaning in their lives. Most of them. They're really good books. That's not a. I'm not selling it well at all, but they're actually really good. Um, but excited to get into this with other people. Not quite sure what that's going to look like in terms of discussing it on the show. Oh, excuse me. I'm not sure if I'll do it week by week or if I'll just do it at the end of the book. We'll have to wait and see. Um, so, don't know. But that's up and coming, coming attraction. So, um, I think that's pretty much all I've got to say for now. Mostly just wanted to talk about the camera and then was like, that's going to take 30 seconds and probably should have something else to say. So, um, there you go. Preview of coming attractions, some stuff that I bought, and information about furniture that you can't see. So, in hindsight, maybe not a good topic for discussion. Oh well. Go read something. See you later.